April 2nd, 1945. 13,000 feet above Schweinfurt, Germany. First Lieutenant Bruce Ward Carr scans the sky and sees something impossible. 60 German fighters, Focke-Wulf 190s, and Messerschmitt 109s swarming 1,500 feet above his four-ship formation. The odds are 15 to 1. Every combat manual says dive away and survive. Carr pushes his throttle forward and climbs straight into them. In 17 minutes, 5 German fighters will fall from the sky. 0 American losses. Carr will earn the Distinguished Service Cross and become the last American pilot to achieve Ace in a Day status in World War II. The mission will become legend. But that's not the story you know. The story you know is different. Shot down behind enemy lines in Czechoslovakia, Carr supposedly hid in forests for days before sneaking onto a Luftwaffe airfield at night. He found a fueled Focke-Wulf 190, taught himself to fly it by moonlight, and escaped back to Allied lines in a stolen enemy fighter. It's been repeated in magazines, books, YouTube videos. It inspired Top Gun Maverick. There's just one problem. It never happened. What Bruce Carr didn't know was that this tall tale would overshadow his actual combat record for 50 years. That the lie would become more famous than the truth. And that his real achievement, outnumbered 15 to 1, shooting down 5 enemy fighters in one mission, would be forgotten. This is the real story, not the myth, the truth. Union Springs, New York, 1939. Bruce Ward Carr is 15 years old when a frustrated pilot abandons a Piper Cub at the local airfield. Carr's father buys it for $25. Young Bruce teaches himself to fly. No instructor, no license, just a kid and an airplane. He solos before he's old enough to drive. By Pearl Harbor, Carr has logged more flight hours than many military pilots. He enlists immediately. The Aviation Cadet Training Program accepts him in 1942, expecting to teach him from scratch. Instead, they find a natural who understands aircraft better than pilots twice his age. He earns his wings in September 1943 and deploys to Europe with the 363rd Fighter Squadron. But there's a problem. They fly P-47 Thunderbolts in ground attack, not air combat. Carr wants dogfights. He wants the Luftwaffe. In May 1944, he transfers to the 354th Fighter Group, 353rd Fighter Squadron, the Pioneer Mustang Group, first to fly P-51 Mustangs in combat. They escort bombers deep into Germany. They fight enemy aces every day. Carr is 20 years old with 0 aerial victories. He has 10 months before the war ends to prove himself. On March 8, 1944, he chases a Messerschmitt Bf 109 south of Berlin. The German dives for the deck. Standard Luftwaffe tactic. Make the American follow you to treetop level where one mistake means death. Most pilots won't take that risk. Carr stays with him through the dive. 5,000 feet, 3,000, 1,000. At 50 feet above the ground, doing 300 miles per hour, Carr opens fire. The 109 disintegrates. The pilot doesn't bail out. No time, no altitude. He rides it into the ground. It's Carr's squadron's first aerial victory, his first kill. But the debrief goes badly. No witnesses, no confirmation. Without proof, there's no official credit. The victory doesn't exist. Carr doesn't complain. 3 days later, he downs an FW-190 with witnesses present. The kill is confirmed. He's no longer a rookie, but he's discovered something about himself. He doesn't feel fear like other pilots. When instinct says break off, his says attack harder. It will make him an ace. It will nearly kill him, and it will lead to the myth that destroys his legacy. Let's deal with the famous story first. You've heard it. The dramatic escape. Shot down over Czechoslovakia. evading for days, stealing the German fighter. There are photos, grainy images of Carr standing beside a damaged FW-190 on an American airfield. They're real. But they don't show what you think. The date isn't October 1944, it's May 1945, after Germany surrendered. Bruce Carr's unit is on occupation duty in Germany. Fighter pilots with nothing to do are dangerous. They start souvenir hunting at abandoned Luftwaffe bases. One squadron commander acquires an FW-190 and shows off. Carr wants one too. He hitchhikes to a former German airfield near Linz, Austria, finds a flyable FW-190, and arranges P-51 escorts flown by his own squadron mates. They take off in broad daylight. No sneaking, no hiding, no combat. Everything's fine until landing. Carr can't get the gear down. The FW-190 uses a two-lever hydraulic system. One retracts, one extends. Carr knows about the first, not the second. After 20 minutes circling, he bellies it in. The aircraft grinds across the turf in a shower of sparks. Total loss. That's what the photos show. Not a heroic escape. A crashed souvenir. Shortly after, the Army Air Force bans borrowing German aircraft. Too many pilots are crashing them. Carr never claims he stole the plane during combat. The myth emerges later, growing with each retelling. By the 1980s, it's common knowledge. Journalists repeat it without verification. When Carr tries correcting the record late in life, nobody believes him. The myth has become more real than reality. Here's what the myth obscures. Bruce Carr's actual achievement. 15 confirmed victories, the Distinguished Service Cross, and one mission, April 2nd, 1945, that should have made him legendary for all the right reasons. Ansbach, Germany, April 2nd, 1945, 0630 hours. The briefing is routine. Armed reconnaissance near Schweinfurt. Find targets, report enemy movements, avoid unnecessary risks. The war's almost over. Don't become the last casualty. Intelligence warns that if you encounter more than 6 enemy aircraft, break contact immediately. Carr listens, nods, files it away. He has no intention of following orders. At 0730, 4 P-51s lift off. Carr leads. At 13,000 feet, heading east, perfect visibility. At 0815, Carr spots them. 60 contacts, 1,500 feet above. The count is shocking. This late in the war, the Luftwaffe rarely masses more than a dozen fighters. But here, someone's assembled a formation that looks like 1943. Carr radios. Bandits at 2 o'clock high. Estimate 60 aircraft. His wingman. Jesus, lead. What are we doing? Every manual says dive away. Every instructor teaches the same lesson. Never engage when outnumbered 15-1. It's not bravery. It's suicide. Carr pushes to full power and climbs. We're attacking. Silence. Then, you're goddamn crazy, lead. Copy. Stay on me. What Carr sees that others don't. The German formation is scattered. Not tight like earlier in the war, but loose. Individual pilots flying independent courses. They're survivors flying because orders say fly, not because they believe in victory. The first German never sees him coming. Carr approaches from below and behind. The FW-190's blind spot. At 300 yards, he fires. 50 caliber rounds punch through the engine. Smoke erupts. The German banks hard, but the damage is done. The aircraft drops away, trailing black smoke. 90 seconds later, another FW-190 trying to dive away. Carr follows. The German tries the treetop escape, Carr's own specialty. At 100 yards, Carr fires. The Focke-Wulf explodes midair. Third kill, Me-109. Fourth, FW-190. Fifth, the fifth makes Carr an ace in a day. 5 confirmed kills in one mission. The last American pilot to achieve this in World War II. The German formation scatters. 7 enemy fighters destroyed total. 0 American losses. Carr lands at 0950. His crew chief counts bullet holes, 4 total. 1 through the wing, 3 through fuselage. Carr didn't notice them during the fight. The debrief at 1100 is packed. Not just intelligence officers, commanders Carr's never met. 7 confirmed kills, 4 against 60. Impossible odds. Walk us through the engagement, Lieutenant. As Carr describes the attack, the room grows quieter. Someone mutters, "He climbed into 60 bandits." The group commander interrupts. "You deliberately attacked a formation 15 times your size?" "Yes, sir." "Why?" "They were scattered. I assessed them as vulnerable." "You assessed?" The room erupts. Officers shouting over each other, some impressed, others furious. One major demands Carr be grounded. Another suggests court-martial. Colonel George Bickle, commander of the 354th Fighter Group, stands. The room silences. Lieutenant Carr destroyed 5 enemy aircraft. His flight destroyed 7. 0 friendly losses. Those are the facts. He turns to Carr. "You're receiving the Distinguished Service Cross. Dismissed." The decoration is approved. Bruce Carr is officially an ace. What he doesn't know, what he won't learn for 50 years, is that this mission will be forgotten, overshadowed by a lie about a stolen fighter. If you're enjoying this deep dive into real military history, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We expose the truth behind the legends every week. Now, let's see what really happened to Bruce Carr. The Distinguished Service Cross citation reads, "First Lieutenant Bruce W. Carr distinguished himself by extraordinary heroism. While leading 4 aircraft on an armed reconnaissance mission near Schweinfurt, Germany, Lieutenant Carr observed more than 60 enemy fighters. Displaying outstanding courage and leadership, Lieutenant Carr led his flight in a diving attack, personally destroyed 5 enemy aircraft, without loss to our forces. May 1945. War's over. Germany surrendered. Carr is 21 with 15 confirmed victories and 172 combat missions. Most pilots would be satisfied. Bruce Carr crashes a German souvenir instead. That incident, the post-war joyride that ended in a belly landing, becomes the story. Not April 2nd, not the Ace in a Day mission, not the Distinguished Service Cross, the crashed FW-190. Somehow, the story transforms. October 1944 instead of May 1945. Behind enemy lines instead of occupation duty. Daring escape instead of embarrassing crash. The myth spreads through veteran communities, aviation magazines, history books. By the 1980s, journalists repeat it as fact. Historians include it without verification. The photos, showing Carr beside the wrecked FW-190, become proof. Nobody checks dates. Nobody questions the timeline. The myth is too good to fact-check. Here's what gets lost. The actual German pilots Carr faced on April 2, 1945, were not amateurs. They were 5-year survivors, men who flew when Me-109s were cutting edge, not obsolete. They had experience in aircraft that matched the P-51. One German pilot who survived told American interrogators, "We thought we had numerical superiority. Then the crazy Americans started shooting us down, one after another. We outnumbered him 15-1, and we ran." American pilots remember Carr differently. Most pilots, you could hear stress in their voice over the radio, one recalled. Not Bruce. He sounded like he was ordering lunch. Tally bandit, engaging. Bang. The guy's dead. It was methodical. Carr accumulated 5 to 15 total combat missions across 3 wars: World War II, Korea, Vietnam. He retired as colonel in 1973. He helped form the Acrojet's precision team that evolved into the Thunderbirds. His career spanned from P-51s to supersonic F-4 Phantoms. And through it all, the story people wanted was the one that wasn't true. German pilots who faced him remember aggression. He didn't hesitate. Most Americans would break off when outnumbered. Not this one. He pressed every advantage. His wingmen remember ice-cold competence. Bruce never panicked, never got rattled. You could be in the worst furball of your life, and he'd be calmly calling targets like it was a training exercise. His crew chiefs remember bullet holes. Carr's plane always came back damaged. Not catastrophic stuff. A few rounds through non-critical areas. Like he calculated exactly how close he could get without dying. 15 confirmed aerial victories. 172 World War II. Combat missions. FAUSAT 15 total combat missions across 3 wars. The Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, 3 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 14 Air Medals, and the achievement everyone celebrates never happened. Real heroes deserve real recognition. Comment below which forgotten ace we should cover next. Subscribe so you never miss these deep dives into military history. Now, the ending you won't believe. Arlington National Cemetery, April 25, 1998. Colonel Bruce Ward Carr, United States Air Force, is buried with full honors. Age 74. The obituaries mention the Distinguished Service Cross, 15 victories, 3 wars. Almost everyone repeats the story about stealing the Focke-Wulf 190. Carr's family doesn't correct them. The myth is entrenched. Let him be remembered as a hero, even if it's the wrong heroism. Here's what they don't mention. Late in life, Carr tried setting the record straight. In 1990's interviews, he carefully explained what happened with the FW-190 after the war. Crashed it. Didn't understand the landing gear. The escape story was fiction. Nobody believed him. Journalists assumed he was being modest. Historians pointed to photographs as proof. The myth had achieved critical mass, more real than reality. Carr's own testimony couldn't dislodge it. People want the impossible, Carr said in 1994. The truth is, I was a pilot who did his job. On April 2, 1945, I got lucky. Caught a formation off guard and shot down 5 aircraft. That's it. But nobody wants that. They want the stolen fighter, the Hollywood version. He was right. When Top Gun, Maverick premiered in 2022, 24 years after his death, audiences thrilled to scenes inspired by the myth. Stolen enemy aircraft, impossible odds, heroes return. The film doesn't credit Carr, but aviation enthusiasts recognize it. Meanwhile, the real achievement disappears. How many know Carr became an ace in a day? How many know he shot down 5 fighters while outnumbered 15-1? Almost nobody. Real heroism forgotten. Fake heroism celebrated. This is the lesson. Truth is less cinematic than fiction. Real combat isn't dramatic music in slow motion. It's Bruce Carr, age 21, climbing into 60 enemy fighters because he assessed them as vulnerable. 17 minutes of controlled aggression, landing safely, counting bullet holes, realizing how close he came to dying. That's heroism, not the myth. Just a pilot doing an impossible job in an impossible war and surviving. Bruce Carr served 31 years in uniform. Trained hundreds of pilots, helped develop jet tactics the Air Force still uses, earned America's second highest decoration for valor. And when he died, people remembered something that never happened. His Arlington gravestone reads, Colonel Bruce Ward Carr, United States Air Force, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, 1924-1998. No mention of the FW-190, no myth, just facts, just service, just truth. In 2022, the National Museum of the United States Air Force opened an exhibit on World War II aces. Carr's section includes his Distinguished Service Cross and detailed account of the April 2nd mission. The exhibit makes no mention of stealing a German fighter. Curators researched thoroughly and concluded it was myth. They honored him for what he actually did. Perhaps that's the ending he wanted, remembered accurately. Real achievements: 15 kills, ace in a day, 515 combat missions, standing on merit, honored for truth, not fiction. Bruce Carr never claimed to be a hero. He claimed to be a pilot. He flew, he fought, he survived. When pressed for dramatic stories, he gave boring answers. I flew, I fought, I survived. That's all about fear. Fear keeps you alive. You don't ignore it. You use it. About the FU-190. That's not the story. The story is April 2nd, 1945. 4 aircraft against 60. That's the story, but nobody wants to hear it. He was wrong. We want to hear it. We just heard it. And now, 79 years after that April morning over Schweinfurt, maybe truth can finally compete with legend. Bruce Carr was an ace, a real ace, not Hollywood, and that's worth remembering.